Good afternoon and welcome. I am Ofonono Joseph, coming to you live from Oyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. This is Spotlight Africa, brought to you by Spectrum Television. Today on Spotlight Africa, Madagascar president names army general as new prime minister. Malawi's president Mutharika moves swiftly to appoint partial cabinet. UNESCO board selects Egypt's former antiquities minister El Nani as new chief. Tanzanian ex-ambassador and government critic abducted. Plus, car president rival invited back from exile, then detained. These stories are all just ahead on Spotlight Africa. Good afternoon once again, and thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight Africa. We begin Spotlight Africa from Madagascar, where President Andry Rajoelina has asked for 1 year to fix the country's challenges, promising that if they persist, he will resign. He said this during a town hall-style meeting at his palace with various groups of government supporters. Many attendees had the opportunity to ask the president questions or simply share their views, to which he responded. The movement behind the protest, known as Gen Z Mada, has been calling for the president to resign and rejected an invitation to attend the talks. They argue that they cannot engage a government that has been repressing them as they demand basic human rights. The group has called for new protests today. Away from that, 6 South African activists who were detained by Israel while attempting to reach Gaza as part of an aid flotilla said Wednesday they were subjected to harsher treatment than other detainees because of South Africa's role in a genocide case against Israel. Speaking after their return to South Africa, the activists said they were singled out after Israeli guards noticed that they were from South Africa. Since 2023, South Africa has been involved in a highly contentious case in the United Nations top court, accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza. Mandla Mandela, a former lawmaker, the grandson of South Africa's anti-apartheid icon and first black president, said the South African activists on the flotilla were harshly dealt with because their country has confronted Israel over its actions in Gaza by launching the case at the International Court of Justice. South African activists Fatima Hendricks and Zahira Somar told reporters at Johannesburg or Tambo Airport on their return that their hijabs were forcibly removed from their heads while they were detained by Israel, which did not happen to other Muslim female activists. In another development, the Beni Garrison Military Court handed down its verdict after 2 weeks of an intense trial in a case of collaboration with the Allied Democratic Forces. The trial marks a turning point in the fight against terrorism in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. 23 people received sentences ranging from 5 to 20 years of penal servitude. They were convicted on charges of participation in an insurrectionary movement, criminal conspiracy, as well as financing and carrying out acts of terrorism. Civil society welcomed this decision, even though appeals remain possible. The court's presiding judge, Lieutenant Colonel Yembo, recognized the severity of the sentences given, an implication of Article 7 of the Military Criminal Code. His words underlined the seriousness of the charges and the determination of the military justice system to send a clear message. These convictions target individuals whose involvement in the activities of the Allied Democratic Force, ADF, an armed group affiliated with the Islamic State, has been established. Elsewhere, Ethiopia has accused Eritrea of preparing to wage war against it in collusion with an opposition grouping in the latest sign of escalating tensions between the two neighbors over control of the Red Sea. Ethiopia's accusation is contained in a letter sent by its foreign minister Gideon Temithowus to UN Chief Antonio Guterres, warning that the collusion had become more evident over the past few months. Eritrea has not yet commented on the letter, but its relationship with Ethiopia has become increasingly strained in recent months. Ethiopia has been rallying support to regain access to the Red Sea, causing alarm in Eritrea as it took control of the coastline at independence in 1993. In a separate development, Burkina Faso's military government says it has arrested 8 members of a Dutch-based humanitarian organization, accusing them of spying and treason. They are 3 Europeans, a Malian, and 4 Burkinabe, among them the NGO's country director and deputy. The organization said they were detained some time ago, but it was not previously reported. Security Minister Mohamedou Sana said the NGO had collected and passed on sensitive security information that could be detrimental to national security and the interests of Burkina Faso to foreign powers. Meanwhile, the International NGO Safety Organization, INSO, which provides safety information to aid workers, has categorically denied the allegations. Anthony Neal, a representative of the NGO, told reporters that its Burkina Faso country director had been detained since July when the organization was suspended. Moving away from that, Somalia too is to introduce Swahili, the lingua franca of East Africa, to its national curriculum, the president has announced. English is used as the language of instruction for most subjects nationwide at secondary schools, with Arabic the only other compulsory second language taught at the moment. But President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said Swahili should also be taught at schools and universities, making the declaration at a summit of the East African Community, EAC, that is taking place in the capital, Mogadishu. Somalia officially joined the 8-nation regional trading bloc last year with the intention of boosting economic growth following 3 decades of war. With more than 200 million speakers, Swahili is one of the world's 10 most widely spoken languages. Education Minister Farah Sheikh Abdul Kader added that the government had great ambitions for the adoption of Swahili nationwide. Swahili dialects are already spoken along Somalia's southern coast, and the language has been used more widely around the country in recent years, one of the consequences of the civil war that erupted in 1991 and brought decades of instability and more recently jihadist violence. Nigerian minister accused of forging qualifications resigns. Stay tuned for details of these and more after this timeout. Thank you so much and welcome back. Now we continue with the rest of the stories on Spotlight Africa. Moving now to Nigeria, where Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Nnaji, has resigned just days after allegations emerged that he had forged his academic credentials. The resignation follows a newspaper investigation that claimed Naji submitted falsified certificates to President Bola Tinubu during his ministerial appointment in 2023. Presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga confirmed Naji's resignation in a post on X late on Tuesday, quoting the minister as saying he had been a target of blackmail by political opponents. Naji has denied the accusations of forgery and has insisted that he did graduate from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, UNN, with a degree in microbiology and biochemistry. The forgery allegations have sparked outrage among some Nigerians following a 2-year investigation by newspaper agency. Last week, UNN reportedly told the publication that it had no records confirming that the minister had graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1995, as he had claimed. A senior university official told the paper that Naji was admitted in 1981 but never completed his studies or received a certificate. The National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) also said the mandatory certificate of national service Naji presented in April 2023 could not be verified. Opposition leader Atiku Abubakar has called for an independent and transparent investigation into the matter, saying Naji should have been summarily dismissed and prosecuted for deceit and falsification. Away from that, over 200 health facilities in Eastern Congo are facing critical medicine shortages, a direct result of ongoing conflict and collapsing humanitarian funding. A new assessment by the International Committee of the Red Cross reveals that 80% of clinics in North and South Kivu provinces ravaged by war are operating without any external support. Many have no access to basic treatments for malaria, HIV, and tuberculosis. Reports say the fighting driven by the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels has made it nearly impossible to transport medicine across front lines, even when supplies exist. Over 3,000 people have been killed this year and 7 million are now displaced, deepening what is already one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. According to Francois Morelian of the ICRC, health workers are fleeing, patients are dying, and thousands of lives hang in the balance. This is not just a medical emergency, it is a human catastrophe, and the world's attention and action is desperately needed. Meanwhile, as thousands of Sudanese refugees return home, they face overwhelming challenges amid a worsening humanitarian crisis. A recent report from the UN International Organization for Migration revealed that by the end of July, more than 1.5 million Sudanese people have been displaced internally since January. Many returnees like Jamal Ahmed, a 70-year-old who fled with his family to Egypt after the outbreak of war in Khartoum, the Sudanese capital, in April 2023, are now trying to rebuild their lives. Jamal returned as the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF) regained control of the capital from the rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) earlier this year. While he was shocked by what he saw, Jamal still said he would not want to be anywhere else. The ongoing conflict between the SAF and the RSF has resulted in tens of thousands of deaths and forced more than 12 million Sudanese to flee their homes. This has deepened the humanitarian crisis, marking it the largest displacement crisis globally. And lastly, on Spotlight Africa, as Rachida Adus flips through her late husband's medical records, she is still searching for answers. He died suddenly while receiving care at a private clinic. She says they decided to operate without even discussing it with them. Rachida's story is not unique, and it is helping fuel a wave of anger sweeping across Morocco. From Rabat to Casablanca, thousands have taken to the streets in recent weeks, denouncing what they say is government neglect of public health services. Protesters accuse the government of pouring billions into preparing to host international football tournaments, while hospitals remain overcrowded and under-equipped. The public's frustration is growing ahead of a highly anticipated speech by King Mohammed VI, set for Friday, October 10, at the opening of the new parliamentary session. Many hope the monarch will address the deepening crisis. This has been Spotlight Africa, brought to you by Spectrum Television. Do ensure to follow us on all our social media handles and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ofonono Joseph. Good afternoon.